I'm Lisa Pickering, and welcome to CITV's Press Talk. Here's the most recent news and information from the government of Bermuda.
Good afternoon, members of the press, and good afternoon, Bermuda. Thanks for coming. In recent years, Bermuda has had to face down outside forces that threaten to dismantle the way we do business with the rest of the world. These forces have repeatedly targeted Bermuda and other small jurisdictions, using us as scapegoats to further domestic political objectives, even when the tools are available to them to change their own jurisdictional laws. The threats have come primarily from high-tax developed countries, aided and abetted by certain members of the press that have provided microphones and headlines without questioning the misleading nature of these attacks. Each time, we have succeeded in turning back the threats, but such is the nature of these outside forces that they reform and come back at us time and again. It takes a great deal of time and effort to fend off these threats and to re-explain Bermuda's constructive role in the global economy. But all it takes is one failure on our part for Bermuda to suffer serious damage on the world stage to our reputation, our integrity, and our ability to conduct business. The stakes for Bermudians could not be greater. Anything that compromises our ability to conduct business with the rest of the world will likely lead to job and income losses for thousands, as well as loss of revenues that enable government to provide social services to our people in need. The threat to Bermuda's economy is existential, meaning that our very existence as a bustling economy supporting Bermudian life is endangered. I say that because our economy depends on international business. If it goes down, we all go down. The latest threat to Bermuda arrived on Friday, June 9th, in the form of an email to the government from the Code of Conduct group within the bureaucracy of the European Union in Brussels. Bermudians should regard this Code of Conduct group as the EU blacklist group. The email contained a questionnaire about the way Bermuda conducts its business internationally. The deadline for our response is July 7th. If we do not answer the questionnaire, we will be deemed to be non-compliant. The questionnaire is designed to lead to a predetermined conclusion that Bermuda is a tax haven that is harmful to the global economy and the EU in particular, and therefore should be placed on an economic blacklist. This despite the fact that the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, known as the OECD, and the Financial Action Task Force to Combat Money Laundering, also known as the FATF, they both have concluded that Bermuda is not harmful in its conduct or in the application of its laws in the global economy. The first attempt by the Code of Conduct group to blacklist Bermuda in 2015 was thoroughly repudiated by the same OECD and was dropped. But this latest attempt has been more cleverly constructed and poses a much greater threat. We believe it constitutes a clear and present danger to our international business sector. Bermuda has spent a great deal of time and money adjusting our laws, regulations, and business practices to stay ahead of or on the leading edge of the curve as it relates to international taxation and information sharing. We have all been adopters we have been early adopters of all initiatives coming out of agencies that set international standards. Yet, there are those out there that choose, for their own reasons, to ignore our record. This outside threat represents a viewpoint held in certain officials in Brussels that because Bermuda does not have corporate income taxes, we are destructive to their own regimes, their own tax regimes. However, this narrative is totally false. Bermuda does not hide beneficial ownership from tax, regulatory, or law enforcement agencies. Bermuda does not create structures designed to obscure where income is earned. Bermuda is not the jurisdiction of choice for hundreds of thousands of multinationals seeking to create shell corporations. Other jurisdictions are. But scapegoating Bermuda plays well in some European countries for political reasons. It also assumes that Bermuda is weak and defenseless. We are not. We will fight. We will fight this unjust attack on the livelihoods of thousands of Bermudians employed in the financial services business or those who depend indirectly on that sector for support. We will fight to preserve our sovereign right to determine tax policy for Bermudian companies. We will show and prove once again that our business model is beneficial to the world economy. Unfortunately, we will not be able to rely on support from our traditional friends in the United Kingdom, as Brexit has reduced their influence in Brussels considerably. Like a previous temporary blacklisting of Bermuda in 2013, the blacklisting of Bermuda today could entail severe economic penalties and/or restrictions on trade and the flow of funds. The damage to our hard-earned global reputation could be sufficiently severe as to threaten the viability of our global insurance and reinsurance business. That sector carries out very significant business in Europe, having paid out hundreds of millions of dollars in claims to EU-based policyholders over the years. This blacklist has the potential to undo all the great work to achieve Solvency II equivalency, which allows Bermuda-based insurance companies to conduct business in EU countries on an equal footing. The government will therefore aggressively defend Bermuda. We will do so with the support of our private sector partners and our overseas-based friends with whom we work. We are pulling together all the resources necessary to beat back this latest threat. This includes the Association of Bermuda Insurers and Reinsurers, known as ABIR, the services of a London-based law firm to support our position, and Bermudian experts within the civil service and Bermuda's regulatory bodies. Our first priority is to answer the questionnaire clearly and logically. If there are biases in the questions, we will point them out and propose alternatives that demonstrate our role in cooperation, transparency, and reporting. With the questionnaire submitted by the deadline date, we will follow with a campaign enlisting the support of our contacts within the EU and elsewhere that we have built up in recent years. I am confident we will prevail. We have worked long and hard to establish our reputation as a jurisdiction with integrity and the highest standards of transparency and best practices. We will fight to protect our reputation and the livelihoods of thousands of Bermudians who rely on that reputation for their livelihoods. Thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I presume, sorry, Minister, I presume this is going to more than just Bermuda. This is probably going to the dependent territories as well.
You mean the questionnaire?
Yeah.
Yes, we think that probably all offshore financial centers are getting this. Maybe not even all offshore financial centers. We think a lot of people are going to get this.
A major attack from EU.
Yes.
Is it going to be the similar reaction from the other countries?
I can't speak for the other countries. I'm concentrating on what our response is going to be.
Does the government plan to release this questionnaire to the public and government's responses to the questionnaire?
I think in due course it will be released. There's no reason why not to.
And obviously with the election coming up, has there been any consultation with the opposition?
No, this is a government matter.
Minister, this is an issue that's repeatedly being brought up by the international community. Do you feel that there's something we're not doing enough of to get the message through that we are a tax-compliant country?
I think it's a question of convenience for those folks who are attacking us. I think there's an underlying belief in a lot of places that places like Bermuda shouldn't exist. Really. They look at the world economy and they say, well, you know, what's this place? It's a dot in the map with only 60,000 people. Why are they so big? You know, what makes them so special? Why don't we have that business? A lot of this is competitive. You know, the kind of business that we have here, for instance, with insurance, there's a lot of countries that would love to have this business. And I'm not just talking about islands. I am talking about major countries would love to have the business that we have. So a lot of this is competition, and also a lot of this is domestic politics in other countries. So I don't believe it's going to go away anytime soon. But the key here, as we see it, is that we have, you heard me in my prepared remarks talk about we have been on the leading edge of the curve in terms of cooperation and transparency. I mean, the view of the Bermuda government is that so long as Bermuda provides the international community with the information that they need, that they legitimately want or need, and Wayne has been working on this practically full time. We have just announced a couple of days ago this thing called Common Reporting Standards, the CRS thing. We just got that portal started. So it's an electronic, automatic exchange of information that takes place between ourselves and other countries. With Bermuda setting this up, countries in the EU and elsewhere will be able to get all the information they want about parent companies in their jurisdiction that have subsidiaries in Bermuda. Our position is, once we give you all the information you want, you can tax these companies any way you like. We don't care. But don't try to put us out of business. Because there's no legitimate reason to put us out of business if you can get all the information that you need. And if you get the information that you need as country X, and then you can change your tax laws to tax any company that's in Bermuda if you like. And so that's kind of like where we're coming from here.
And you also said that government will be enlisting the support of contacts within the EU and elsewhere. Are you able to unveil who that support base is and whether they are viewed by Brussels as being compliant entities?
Well, we do have friends in, amazingly, in spite of all this, we do have friends in EU, and I'm not at liberty to say who those friends are now, but we will use the contacts that we have as a government, and also contacts that our private sector partners have in the European Union, because they have a lot of contacts, very powerful corporate contacts in the EU. And the last thing that they want is to not be able to avail themselves of the business that they do from Bermuda. When we had a blacklist on us from France in about 2013, wasn't it? 2013, we got put on that blacklist, and it was a blacklist with teeth. What I mean by that is that that blacklist forced anybody who was going to send money from France to Bermuda to pay a 75% withholding tax on the amount of money. So out of every $100 sent to Bermuda, 75% went to the French government. And the French insurance industry were up in arms about it because they couldn't get the kind of value proposition anywhere else that they were getting from Bermuda for reinsurance. So that's what I mean by having really powerful contacts in the private sectors in the UK, in the EU.
You mentioned Brexit might make matters more complicated because of UK obviously being a little distracted in conversations with the EU. Do you think the timing of this attack comes in line with that Brexit to put Bermuda in a weaker stance?
I don't think so. I mean, it kind of, Bermuda is one of many countries getting this questionnaire. So, and I think countries that are not part of Britain are getting this questionnaire. So I don't think that coincidence that you are talking about really holds water. I do think, though, that Britain's influence in the EU has waned a lot because of the upcoming talks on Brexit.
You've been watching Press Talk on CITV. Join us next time for all your recent news and information from the government at Bermuda. I'm Lisa Pickering.